Good morning, good morning. It is Monday the 15th of January 2024. Welcome to Morning Brew on Labour Social. I'm Graham Hughes. So, let's get into it. Today it was revealed in the newspaper that over the last couple of years, there have been a sum total of 6 people who have successfully claimed asylum from Rwanda. So let's just talk about this for a moment. Rwanda, the country run by Paul Kagame for the last 24 years, ruled over an iron fist. No dissidents, no opposition parties. A few years ago, there was a protest at a refugee camp. The asylum seekers in that refugee camp were shot dead by security forces of Rwanda. So, any objective person would look at Rwanda and go, it's not a safe place to put refugees because there's refugees coming from Rwanda and gaining asylum seeker status, gaining refugee status, going through all the rigmaroles, all jumping through all the hoops, and actually being given asylum in the UK. 6 of them since 2022, when this idea that Rwanda was somewhere where we could put refugees and assess their claim in Rwanda, and then if their claim is successful, leave them in Rwanda, a country that we've actually taken refugees from in the last couple of years, since 2022. 6 refugees have been granted asylum. So this is where we are now with the Tory party. This is their latest swindle, their latest wheeze, I guess, their wizard wheeze, because they're on a sinking ship. They know they're on a sinking ship, and they're scrabbling around for anything that they hope will win them a few votes. And they're going for the racist votes. That's it. The small-minded, racist, bigoted, gobshite vote. The good news is that vote seems to be diminishing every day because as more young people come online, they're not particularly like that. But, and here's the important thing, polls aren't actually the result of an election. And while it looks like the Tories are heading for a wipeout, it's the front page of the Telegraph today, the Tory graph saying they're headed for a 1997 style wipeout. In 1997, the Tories were left with less than 160 MPs in Parliament. 100. That would now mean they would lose a couple of hundred seats, which would be phenomenal. Nothing short of what they deserve. But here's the problem. Young people tend not to vote as actively as older people. And it's going to be our job this year to get younger people to actually bother to vote. Because there are some young people who are very engaged in politics. And there might be some people watching this who are young and engaged in politics, and that's great. But the vast majority of people have got a lot of things going on in their life right now. And we need to make it very, very clear to anyone we talk to, anyone we interact with, and not just me, just you as well watching this, that they need to vote. Because 9 times out of 10, in fact, 99 times out of 100, if the polls are to be believed, they're not going to vote Conservative. And that'll do. Honestly, at this stage, that'll do. We need as few people to vote Conservative as possible. Because I've said this before, and I'll say it a million times until it becomes untrue. But you don't win an election by getting people to vote for you. You win an election by stopping the opposition from voting for their party. Legally, you don't block them. You know, that's not what you do in a democracy. You don't demand voter ID or other such obstacles on the way to the polling booth. No. That's not the way to do it. You just make their party seem so useless, ineffective, and dreadful that people won't bother voting. The normal people who will go out and normally vote all their lives for the Tories will just stay in bed on that fateful Thursday this year when hopefully the Tories will finally be booted from office after 14 years of absolute carnage. No other word for it. They presided over the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people between austerity and Brexit and the response to COVID and the micro budget, mini budget that tanked the economy in 2022. Remember that? That was fun, wasn't it? Between all of those things, hundreds of thousands of people have died in this country through poverty, through mental health problems, through COVID, when they said that they were putting a protective ring around care homes, but they weren't. They were actually flinging corpses of people with the plague over the ramparts into the castle, which is what they used to do in medieval times to end a siege. And that's what our government did to its own voters. Older people tend to vote Tories. Not all older people, but the majority, a significant majority of older people tend to vote Tory. And that's what they did to their own voters. Imagine what they would do to you. They could get their hands on you. So, this is just all underwritten the fact that the Tories need to be kicked out of office, but also they are full of shit. And we have to acknowledge this. They are full of shit. And we can see this because they're going to have they've got a paper going through Parliament at the moment, a bill going through that is going to declare Rwanda a safe country because we say it is. They're going to declare it a safe country because we say it is. I couldn't think of anything more duplicitous than that when we have given asylum to 6 people in the last couple of years from Rwanda. It is therefore evidently to anyone who's just got their eyes open, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, is Rwanda a safe country? Well, have we taken any asylum seekers from Rwanda in the last couple of years? Yes, we have. Then it's not a safe country. 1 + 1 sometimes, often, adds up to 2. If it looks like a duck. Anyway, so Svak says they're just like British rivers and waterways. Yeah. I'm going to jump into the chat now. So thanks very much for joining us this morning. It's Blue Monday today. It's the Monday that apparently is the most depressing day of the year. So you've chosen to wake up with me. So thanks for that. I hope I can cheer you up a little bit. Although Blue Monday is probably just something invented by marketeers, people trying to sell you stuff, advertisers, madmen, because they want to sell holidays, and now is a good time for people to buy holidays because it means that they spend the money now. Then the companies that run the holiday places have 6 months to play with the interest that they have on that money before they actually have to spend any of it on anything. Clever way of doing it. So they declare a particular Monday in January. This is the Monday that everyone should go and book their tickets to go places. It's probably a marketing ploy, like smoking. Anyway, good day, says Leanne Scott. Good day, Leanne. Morning, Graham, says Sarah. Morning, everyone, says Sarah again. Morning, Graham, Labour Social, and everyone. That's from a Saitu. Hello. We've got Plum Duff in the chat, dropping a fiver. Thank you very much for the first super chat of the week. Goes to Plum Duff. Send fabricant wig to Rwanda. That'd be quite funny, wouldn't it? If you stole his wig and we put it on a plane to Rwanda, and so he had to go to Rwanda to go and get it. And we could film it all. It'd be hilarious. I tell you. Hilarious. Can't afford a holiday. Well, never can we? We're not going away this summer. Because we're spending all our money on having the heating on for 2 hours a day. And then just freezing the rest of the time. I love Tory Britain. Don't you love Tory Britain? Hasn't it turned out so well? But everyone who can't afford a mortgage or to get on a housing ladder in the first place. Everyone who can't afford their rent anymore, because it used to be 9% on average of your wages. Now it's more like 50% of your wages. And after you've got your heating bills on top of that, and then you've got your bills for council tax and everything else, which is a very regressive tax, by the way. I hate the fact that council tax, I know it's banded by property size, but generally speaking, the people who are on the lowest income pay the biggest proportion of their income on council tax, pay a bigger proportion of their income on council tax than do people who are born with a silver spoon up their arse. Emma, thank you very much. The second super chat of the week. Thank you very much to Emma. Today, I'm going to have to try and file my housebound blind mum's tooth down as there's no service to help her. I want this story to go viral. Please help. Oh my God, Emma. That's horrific. I'm so sorry. Bloody hell. This is the fact that, I mean, this is an individual case, but I mean, we've all heard about stories of people having to pull their own teeth out because there are no dentists. There are no NHS dentists anymore. Pretty much, it's really, 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 really hard to get an NHS dentist, and even if you can get one, it's still quite expensive to have any procedures done. It's not free like it used to be. I mean, Jesus, I'm really sorry, Emma. Apparently, one of the biggest reasons why young people are going to, children are going to hospital, I think between the ages of 6 and 9, is to do with their teeth. So yeah, Emma, please, I'll help spread the word, but that is horrific. Emma's gonna have to file her housebound blind mum's tooth down as though there is no service to help her. Tory Britain. Emma, I'll can you send me an email if you go on to grahamdavidhughes.com and go to the bottom of the front page, there's a contact form. Can you send me an email and we'll chat, and I'll get that to my team that I'm working with, and we might be able to get some publicity about it, because that is an absolute disgrace. That is an absolute bloody disgrace. Tory Britain. What have we come to? Where are we? We've got a rise in homelessness that's gone through the charts. Back in 2010, I don't know if you remember this, but there were hardly any food banks whatsoever in the country. We just didn't need them. Now there's over 1 million people using a food bank every week. 1 million people. Tory Britain. And there was an interview I think it was yesterday, or it might have been the day before. Femi was talking to Jake Berry, and Jake Berry was the presenter for some reason. The Tory MP was the presenter, and he was questioning Femi, a journalist. It's not how it's supposed to be, but there you go. And Jake Berry was saying, we all know that Labour leave the economy in a worse state than they found it. It's absolute bullshit. And I mean, Femi didn't have enough chance because that Jake Berry was doing a gish gallop where you just you say as many lies as possible in a short amount of time, because it takes longer to refute a lie than it does to tell it. To proportionally like 10 times longer to refute a lie than it is to actually say it in the first place. But this thing about Labour leaving the economy in a worse state, fuck off. When Labour got in 1997, our economy was worth about $1.5 trillion. When they left in 2010, it was worth about $3 trillion. It's still worth around $3 trillion. Like, you could plot it on a graph, it would go double. It would double. Our economy size would double, and then it'll hit a brick wall when the Tories get in, and it will flatline. I know it goes up and down a little bit, but you can draw a straight line across it, right, to where it is today. And I don't think it ever went above what it was in 2007. You can draw a straight line. And then you've got people presenting on Talk TV, Tory MPs presenting and canvassing for their party. How's that fair? Campaigning for their party. How is that fair? How is that right? Oh, it's because the chairman and the CEO of Ofcom both used to go to school with all the Tories. Anyway, I added the high court judges who went to private school to my privateschoolmafia.com list, and it's now expanded to over 760 names. There's about 100 high school. Stop saying high school, Graham. There's about 100 high court judges in this country, and of the ones that list where they went to school, over 60 of them went to private school. Of the ones that are listed. So not all of them are listed of what school they went to. My God. Thank you very much to Gary Arnold for the £2 super chat. Ian says, if you want to know how safe Rwanda is, look under 2022 country reports on human rights practices Rwanda from the US government. Yeah, Ian, also the FCO, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, had Rwanda as somewhere where there was some time, cases of political instability. And, it didn't say it was the safest place in the world, not by any stretch of the imagination. I like Blue Monday because you're guaranteed to hear New Order in the morning. Great tune. Hughes says there used to be a local blacksmith too. Horses normally file the teeth of and hooves. Jesus. The party we have the day the Tories are gone. Wow. Don't know, Graham. I'm too migraine to tell what we are now. Richard says my friend runs a food bank. The generosity of people is what is keeping people alive. It's cheaper for supermarkets to give it away than bin it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the whole situation is just barbaric. It's absolutely barbaric. Colin says, I'm reminded of that Tory voter in Hartlepool saying that the Tories were wonderful because there were more food banks. Yeah. When Labour were in, we didn't have any food banks. Now we've got loads. It's like Scrooge saying to the charity collector at the beginning of the story, are there no workhouses? Are there no prisons? I say good day to you, sir. Oh, my God. Pagan, I've gone from 32 teeth to 26 in 10 years due to a health problem I had. Oh my God. I'm under no illusion that if I was a single parent, I'd be reliant on food bank. I'm a nurse of 24 years. That is crazy, Lindsay. That is Tory Britain, where our economy is flatlined, but our population has grown. So the amount of money per person has gone down, but also the wealth inequality has gone up through the freaking roof. There were more billionaires in this country than ever before. Like a lot more billionaires. A lot of people profiteered during the COVID pandemic, not least of whom like Michelle Mone and Doug Barrowman, who we know of. I mean, they took £60 million and then sat on a TV show going, yeah, that was perfect recompense. We were taking a big risk with this government contract. Like Fujitsu were taking a big risk with the government contract that they got from the post office, which meant they could fuck up as badly as anybody possibly can and still come out with more government contracts on top of it. Were you the guys who supplied that software that ended up with over 700 people being charged wrongly and given criminal convictions wrongly, ruining the lives of about 700 people? Was that you? Yeah, okay, here's another contract. Government procurement. Should we go with the best? No, we'll go with the cheapest. So you have some kind of like, I don't know, metric where we look at what would be the best way of the best person to go with, the best company. No, just jobs for the boys. Someone said that Britain is breaking on an interview I was watching, and all I could think is that was offensive. It's broken. Yeah, Britain has taken a downward tumble in a way that I didn't think possible. Growing up in the 90s where things were generally getting better, and then in the noughties, obviously things were demonstrably getting better. I've probably told the story before, but I'll tell it again for the people who missed it the first time. After university, I had a lot of friends who did PGCEs. Someone's going to tell me in the chat what they actually are now. The education qualification that you get after going to university that allows you to teach in secondary school in the UK. And they went on to become teachers. And I sometimes did filming jobs at different schools in the noughties when I was working as a video producer. And I was staggered by the difference in even my old school in the 10 years after I left compared with what it was like when I left in 1997. When I left, there was paint peeling off the walls. Everyone was using... No one had like their own computer or anything. We were still using, Archimedes computers from like 1990 were still being used in 1997 in our old school. The building was crumbling. It was freezing cold. Like the heating didn't work. We did it on mock GCSEs. Remember this? Was it? Oh, maybe not mock A levels. Jesus. Yeah, it was a mock A levels. In the January of 1997, and it was bloody. There was no heating. We were sitting in the main hall, like just absolutely shivering. We were all doing an exam with our coats on. That was the state of our school. after 18 years of Tory misrule, Tory cuts, Tory. Why should we pay tax? Why should the rich have to pay tax for the little people? Not understanding or getting the head around the fact that we need the little people, of which I regard myself as one, to do well, because otherwise they don't have the money to buy your shit. And if they don't have the money to buy your shit, you're not going to be a billionaire much longer. Simple as that. If no one can read, you're not going to become the best-selling author in the world. Well, you might, but you're not going to sell many books, are you? So a rising tide raises all boats. But I was absolutely knocked for six by the difference that just 10 years of a Labour government made to schools around Liverpool and Manchester that I visited, that where suddenly, I mean, it wasn't just a lick of paint. It was like the kids had modern amenities. The kids who needed it had access to laptops. We were using textbooks. I remember this in 1997. We were using textbooks from the 1970s. And I don't know if you know this about science, but it moves on. So if you are trying to teach with a textbook that's 20 years old, there's going to be a lot of stuff in that textbook that is now out of date. So, for instance, if you were using something that was 20 years old about astronomy, it would say that Pluto is a planet, whereas it's now seen as a dwarf planet. That's kind of like a factious example, but the point remains that teaching anything, even history, changes. Like, our perception of history and our understanding of history changes as more evidence comes in. And sometimes we might have one idea about a particular battle or a king or queen or something that happened. And then we find some new sources saying, well, that's not quite the full story. And so keeping stuff up to date, like what Wikipedia does, is really, really important. And yet we were being taught in the 90s with textbooks from the 70s with a knob drawn on every page, which was much more entertaining than what was in the books. But, I mean, that was what the Tories left us with. And they have the audacity to say on TV, on their own show, I don't know why Jake Berry has a show where he goes and interviews journalists and lies about Brexit, says Brexit's a great thing. I've got no evidence for it. I just feel it in my bones. He was quibbling with Femi. I suggest you have a look at Femi's latest video if you're not already subscribed to Femi. Femi Olawale. Well worth a follow. If you're still on Twitter, /X, he's at Femi. Sorry, but yeah, just have a look at that interview that he did with Jake Berry, the Tory MP, and it's just like Jake Berry's quibbling over whether Brexit caused 8% or 6% damage to the UK economy, and Femi's just saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're quibbling over the figures. The fact is, it caused damage. Even if it was 1%, it caused damage. You said, Brexiteers said, that we would be better off. And we are demonstrably worse off. And you're quibbling about how worse off we are. It's well worth watching. Thank you very much to Nigel there for the Aussie dollars. Thank you very much for the Aussie dollars. If the general super chat there, if the Governor General in 1975 dismissed the government, why can't the King dismiss the Tories as they are no longer wanted by the general public? It's a different world now. I really don't think that the way who was it? Was it Holt was gotten rid of? Was it Whitlam? I can't remember. It was a long time ago. I was -4. Yeah, so this is a story in Australia in the 70s. There was a problem with the government because they couldn't get a majority, or there was something that they did that was unpopular. I don't know the actual details. Maybe Nigel can tell us in the chat. But essentially, the Governor General, who is the King's or Queen's representative in Australia, decided to dissolve the government and declare martial law. No, not martial law, an election. So they had an election. I guess because the ruling party at the time was deeply unpopular, which the Tories are now. And the Tories aren't just desperate and flailing amongst themselves. They seem to be trying to take out as many other people as humanly possible on the way down. The fact that they are so, I think it's utterly disgraceful. But they're trying to destroy everything on the way out as well. And a case in point on this is what they're doing with HS2. So they bought all this land between Birmingham and Manchester, and now they're trying to sell it off as quickly as possible to their mates at a cost, at a knockdown price, which is less than the amount that they spent on the compulsory purchase in the first place, in order to snooker Labour when Labour get in, because it means that Labour won't be able to reintroduce, do something else with that route that's already been planned out, like low speed rail or something, whatever. Maybe build a road. I don't want another road, but they can't do anything with it because the Tories will have sold off X amount of the properties along the way back to their mates for a cut down price. I mean, the whole thing seems like a monumental scam to me. Maybe the Tories never intended to build HS2. Maybe this was just a way of stealing land off people all the way from Birmingham to Manchester, and then selling it to their mates at a knockdown price, because they could use compulsory purchase if they said, "Oh, we're doing this big travel project," with a ridiculous, idiotic way of doing things. HS2 is just so typical. I think it exemplifies everything about the Tories. They promise the earth, they don't deliver, but not only do they not deliver, it also ends up costing everyone so much money. They're like a problem gambler who promises you that they're going to make X amount of money with your money. Just give them the money and they'll make X amount of money for you. And not only do they not win, but it also ends up costing you your livelihood. And that's what the Tories are like. They're just terrible people who shouldn't be allowed to run a bath, never mind the country. Has the government passed the bill to stop the construction? I assume so. I don't think they have, actually. It's a Tory land grab, says Sarah. Yeah, I live in Crewe, and cancellation of HS2 has decimated our future, says Fox Bryant. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. The fact that they were doing it in the stupidest possible way. It should have started in the north. And this isn't hindsight. This is basically stuff that people have been saying for a long time. It should have started in the north and headed south, because we need it up north more than they need it down south. Down south, they've already got amazing rail connections. Crossrail is, Elizabeth Line is 73 miles long. 73 miles. We could have a nice new train line between Liverpool, Manchester, Sheffield for that. Do you know what I mean? Same sort of distance. Or Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds. But London gets that. We don't get that. Nigel Davenport, thank you very much. The Governor General removed the Gough Whitlam Labour government. Thank you very much for the super chat, and let me know about what happened. Yeah, it was Gough Whitlam, and was it Holt who walked into the sea? There was a There was a Australian Prime Minister who one day just walked into the sea while Prime Minister. It was like, where's he gone? I don't know. Was it Holt? I think it was Holt. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, before I was born. Hughes says, the new Danish king, did you see the amount of gongs on his chest? Never saw him in Iraq. Pretentious European. Spoiler shit. All right, Hugh, calm down. Bloody hell. They're just participation medals, aren't they? They're just because he's the head of it. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is, it doesn't matter if you are someone who's actually gone and seen combat in Afghanistan, and you're a royal, because if people decide they're going to hate you, they're gonna just decide to hate you. And on that note, let's have a look at the papers before I go. Talking of Harry and Meghan, Queen's fury over naming of baby Lilibet. Jesus, come on, like seriously. As angry as I'd ever seen her after Sussex claimed they had her blessing to use her childhood name. The Daily Mail. This is the most important thing going on in the world right now. People are dying in Gaza. There's primaries in Iowa in America. Trump's gonna Basically, it looks like he's going to run for president again. Although I did hear, I'm gonna have to research this because sometimes I'm just scrolling through my phone and I don't have the chance to sort of look into something a bit more detailed. But I believe that Trump is not going to be on the nomination for Nevada. Now, it might not be true because, like I say, I read it on the internet as I was scrolling past and I didn't have a chance to actually do my research and make sure that it is actually true. But apparently, this isn't to do with him, um, the Constitution, Article 14 or whatever it is, Section 3. It's nothing to do with the Constitution saying that he can't stand because he mounted an insurrection. No, no, no. This was more stupid than that. Uh, they simply forgot to hand in the paperwork to say that he was going to stand in that state for the Republicans. So he's not going to be on the ballot in Nevada. That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true. Express exposes plot to shut down stock exchange. Yeah, well done, Express. That was the most important thing to have done. What's that? Brian says, Graham, remember the patience of our job. Thanks, Brian. If you are a member on this channel, there are a few videos that are available to you that aren't available to regular people. I'll put a new section at the bottom of the screen, but it's the old anti-Brexit stuff, the daft stuff that I did. The anti-Brexit sketches, comedy sketches, things. There's one of Dragon's Den. There's one called The Patience of Our Job. There's a couple of others. So if you are a member of the channel, you'll be able to go and see them. So head over to our channel and go to videos. And it should be there, but they're older videos, so you might have to go scroll for a while. Right, it's 3 minutes past 10, so I'm going to just quickly wrap up in a moment. Post office shame, we can't let them off the hook. And Holly Willoughby, looking radiant, I guess. We got the Times and the King and Queen, the new King and Queen, Freddie the 10th of Australia, and yeah, they're now the King and Queen of Denmark. She's an Aussie. Top Tories urge Sunak to toughen Rwanda bill, as we've been discussing. The Rwanda bill is bullshit because it says that somewhere is safe that is demonstrably unsafe, which will be easy to prove in the court of law. Like, this isn't going to get past the Supreme Court because the Supreme Court is going to look at this and go, no, sorry, you can't make a bill saying that somewhere is safe when we have cases of people being given asylum from that country that you claim to be safe. And then this great news from the Telegraph saying that the Tories face 1997 style wipeouts, which is what everyone wants to read in the morning. Well, I do at least. NHS drugs shortage poses threat to patients' lives, say pharmacists, which should come as no surprise to anybody. Warnings raise fears of new Red Sea attacks. It's on the front cover of The Guardian with the Houthi rebels, who are now basically running Yemen with the help of money from Iran. The I newspaper here, the UK grants asylum to Rwandans despite claims country is safe, which we were talking about earlier. And a thing about Blue Monday for the Star, which probably Thomas Cook paid a lot of money for, or whoever they are now. Hayes Travel. And then we've got 5 migrants drowning the channel. Stop the cross-out boats. Rowing boats? No, rows. Death. Stop the deaths, which I can get on board with. And you can stop them by allowing people to claim asylum in another country. Allow them to claim asylum for this country in another country, right? That will stop the boats. It's my clever way of stopping the boats, because you're not going to get on a boat if you know that A, you have asylum, or B, you know that if you turn up, that we have your details and you will be deported immediately. There'll be no, umming and ahhing. It'll be, sorry, we processed your claim already. We know who you are because we have your photograph and your fingerprints and your iris scan. So we know that you are this person and we're going to fly you somewhere else because we can legally do that because we have processed your claim already. Reveals huge rise in women drinking themselves to death. This is a bloody awful story from The Independent. Fatalities from alcohol-related diseases soared by 37% in 5 years compared with 29% in men as campaigners blame incessant marketing of drinks to women, which I can't argue with. I think that we really do need to tone that down. And anyone doing Dry January, love and support, definitely. Keep going. We're nearly there. We're halfway through, almost. And then Whitehall's Project Sushi sought to block Fujitsu from contracts in the 2010s. So there you go. They were trying to block Fujitsu because they knew they were crap. I have a friend who worked in the civil service in the 2000s who used to joke about how bad Fujitsu were at making software. They were just very, very, very bad at it. Okay, right, I'm going to get off now. So thank you very, very much. Great British Video Gamer says there were no ADHD meds. Indeed. I mean, the ADHD diagnosis is crazy, isn't it? Like, they give you a form and expect you to fill it out and send it to them. It's like a test. If you do it, it's like catch-22, isn't it? If you fill out the form and send it in good order, then you probably haven't got ADHD. But if you don't, then you do, but you won't get any support because you haven't sent off the form. It's one hell of a catch. Right, okay, so thank you very much for joining me today on Morning Brew. I might be back tonight with the swear jar if I can cajole Katansky? Supatansky to join us this evening. But if not, Phil will be back tomorrow at 9:30 with another Morning Brew. And thank you for joining us. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the chat. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.